Kia ora tātou katoa. Welcome to the Auckland Museum. We are celebrating the language week, and this time it will be for the Cook Islands. I have with me our guest, and it's Tauraki Rongo Raea. He's been and is a long life defender of safeguarding the cultural treasures and identifying oneself through the use of language. Seems to spearhead his engagement to save his native language. During his long professional career, he has never wandered too far from debate that include the plight of minority languages, and in this arena he has plenty to say. He was very much involved in sport as well as a player and a coach, accumulating credentials and certificates since his very first involvement as a representative of Otago schoolboys in the early 80s. We also know him for the work that he did at the Auckland Museum, and as he puts it, I'm excited to be working in partnership with Auckland Museum and the wider community online and sharing more about Cook Islands collections and stories at the museum. His position as an air radio presenter for the last 30 years, but more recently as a newsreader at the Pacific Media Network, has undoubtedly formed his mind and belief that puts minority languages at the top of his to say lists, especially his Cook Island dialect. He's sharing with us his passion for his native language and would like us to know how his everyday life is striving to promote the native language that he grew up with. However, he knows the resilience and the energy that one needs to undertake this mission, and he looks up to the young generation to keep speaking their ancestral language. So, kia ora again, Tauraki, and thank you for accepting our invitation to come and talk about your dialect. And I guess, would you like to say hello in your own language, please?
Bidik mata ena, kia ora tātou katoa toi te roma tō te atua, tōku waka ko te otonga, te awa ko ara i awa, te kauwei ko tira waine, te maunga, ko te rua manga, te marae, ko te atua kura, ko te kōpū tangata, ko Ngāti Uritaua, Ngāti Anoto, Ngāti Puto, e te wai atura, i runga i a koe tumu te warawaro. Turo.
Maybe you want to tell us a bit about you in English, just in case people wanted to know, just short.
So, we're a bit of fruit salad back in the cook. So I'm part Raratongan, part Moken, part Maniken. But this pepeha that I've just presented, it's my Raratonga part, and the our waka brought my family to Raratonga just before the missionaries. It's called Te Auatonga. We believe they came from Hawaii, which is Tonga. That's when the Tongans were using the ocean like Vikings. So Te Auatonga is the canoe. Harayawa is the passage where we came up. Harayawa because right in the middle of that passage is a coral reef. So that's why it says Harayawa. There's something in the way of the passage. Anyway, the stream is Tira Waine. When you look from out at sea, it's like a woman lying down, So, and the mountain is Te Ruamanga. Today is well known as the Needle. So that's our lookout point. And the family, or the marae, is called Te Atua Kura, which is the red god. So our tupunas came and set up the marae, and then they went and get some water. When they came back, there's a centipede lying across the centerpiece. So that's where the Te Atua Kura come from. And the family is the family that owns like the main village of Raratonga. Yeah.
Thank you, Mata. Tauraki, so can you just, I know all fruit salad anyway, where you come from, and where you come from, where I come from as well. We have different islands and different genealogical links. Can you just tell me where you grew up and your childhood and how you came to learn your language, your native language, and over to...
I think I was quite fortunate. I was born in Rarotonga. My parents came from Moki to Rarotonga, and we were all born, my siblings, born in Rarotonga. So everything that we've learned is from Rarotonga. But the thing is, at that time in the 70s, our family home became the family from Moki. It's the stopover for family from Moki. So while we are yet living in Rarotonga, we were also fortunate to be still immersed in the Mokin culture while in Rarotonga. So that's growing up for us, and yeah.
That's good. Thank you very much. Can you describe to me your typical day? We were talking about you being a newsreader. Can you describe your typical day? Because I've heard you obviously on the radio, and how do you prepare yourself? Because obviously you are the one who's presenting in the Rail, the Cook Island Rail. What goes through your mind in terms of this language that is the main language and you don't really use in your country?
For me, I didn't actually take much interest in the language, although I grew up in it. I didn't really take much of the language until I came here, looking from outside, outside the box. This is when I took it all in and I took interest in it, especially working at Auckland Museum. So a lot of things, like everything fell in place, and I thought, okay, so this is why this happened. This is why this is, just working in the cultural space at the Auckland Museum. This is where everything came together for me, and this is also where doors started opening for me in the cultural space. Broadcasting, I've been in broadcasting for 30 years. Started at home. No training, like everything else, just learning, you just, no one to read the news one day, next minute they say, can you just pop in and read the news, and it went on like that, yeah. So that's how it came until today. But, like I said, it started from here. My background is in science, during the COVID, the last 2 years, we've done a lot of translation.
Yes.
And the thing for us with my science background is I didn't really need to chase after the doctors for the context of those things. Learn, understanding the human anatomy. For us, it came from cleaning the pigs. It's the same. The digestive system is the same. So Dad says, okay, the mape and all the organs, the names, and that's the same name that we use for the translation of stuff through the last two years. So in that space, the work that I do is mainly just passion.
Okay.
You see, the radio platform that I have, I use that to reach out to our Cook Islands people, and if it's to do with language, do with anything, help, use the radio platform. And on the other hand, I'm in charge of the Cook Islands language in New Zealand, trying to put things together. So all these platforms, I'm been quite fortunate to be in that space, and that's.
I think because when COVID came up, it was a opportunity for the small languages to come up to say, this is what we need to do for our communities, small communities. They all need to understand what COVID is all about, and then you have to call upon people like you to understand how to translate it, because maybe not everybody speaks English here, maybe not everybody, all generation wouldn't understand English. So we were aware, there's a bit more awareness of how many languages are around here, because it was appearing on TV and people start to go, oh yes, this English.
See, that's the good part about it. But there's another side to things when people use it as a job, as a money, you turn it into a business.
Yes.
Then that really is what made our language end up where it is today.
So I just wanted to go straight to what we were talking about earlier. Is that we have, in your case or in our case as well, in the Maori, we've got different dialects, and those dialects are slowly dying, because what's happening is that there's one majority language that's being used by everybody. I mean, in the case of the Cook Islands, would be Rarotonga, everybody will speak it, whereas the smaller dialect will disappear because everybody goes to the main language, which is the case for us as well. Tahitian is the main language, and slowly Mongolian, all the other Tramutus, their dialect is that's it. So I just want you to tell us how you feel about this kind of those dialects. You don't hear them anymore because one has taken over.
Okay. I have to take us back, because when we really look at the people, our own people who still got the language today here in New Zealand, most of them are from the outer islands.
Yeah.
And when we look at the teaching of the language in the formal education system, is Rarotonga. And if we look at our old people being part of that the education journey, teaching the language, I think they've been made redundant because it's the Rarotonga dialect. So a lot of times, even if it's in their language and it's not right, even when they say, "Hi, that's not right," that's good as long as they're engaging. Instead, if it's just in Rarotonga, they can't really say much, But and this is something that we really need to take note of. So this is why with our program now, we are leaving the formal education curriculum alone. We are starting the adult education in a series called the Tato series. And this is teaching according to the teacher's dialect.
Yeah.
It's mainly about the sounding, the reading, and the writing of the sounds of the words. So at least, going forward, when there's not much speakers, at least the pronunciation of the words will be close to the right. So this is so that's what we're pushing. It's a Tato series. Our Cook Islands, we have 4 words that describes groups of people. There's koto, just you guys, not us, not them. And there's rato, just them, not you, not us. And there's mato, just us, not you guys. And there's tato. Yeah. So this is why we call it the Tato series.
Yeah. Also, we were talking earlier, is that it's not only within those group of islands where one is taking over the whole, but also from outside. We were talking about English being one of the main languages that have been used in more and more, I guess, especially from the young generation here, where they might have lost this. They might be the 3rd generation who haven't ever spoken dialect at home because the parents didn't know it, and they have to go back to the grandparents. So we seem to be having to cater on both fronts, not only from within, but also from the outside. What do you think about this division of English? Also, is an impediment to learning more of the dialect of the language?
Well, I think English, it's unfortunately registered as one of the Cook Islands language. So I think that's number one, and number two, all our laws are written in English. And back in the days when the old people speak in the meeting, everybody listens. But then when laws and news, even our news, we don't even have something like the karere on the TV at home. So when we don't have news, when our old people have lost contact with what's around them, they can't speak. So in meetings now, they hardly speak. Then you have scientists who are trained by the papas, leading the way, and then along with it goes our culture.
I'm just quoting you. You're saying that the future of the language remains in the hands of the young generation. So how would you see that? I know you've got the program, the Seekers of Tato, but do you have a young people to take up that kind of what you're offering in the Tato series?
Well, Language Week this year, we are letting the youth lead, and basically what we are doing is we're trying to see how the youth would like the language delivered to them. When gone are the days where just force things onto them. Now we really have to make them want to learn. and this is the last generation. We have only 9% of Cook Island speakers in the world.
9%.
9%. So 80% of Cook Islanders live in New Zealand.
Yes.
So you know, we really need to talk to the youth and communicate to the youth and make sure that the youth find purpose in learning te reo. You know, if there's no purpose, then there's no point. We're going to lose. So we really need to be smart.
Yeah, well, I guess technology will be one of those kind of means to try to keep the youth interested in the language, try to distribute the language through technology. I guess one of those mobile phone would help.
I mean, technology, yes, but the thing is, I think we also need to be mindful that income generation don't take over. You know, the purpose of educating the next generation. You know, like everything else, because of money, you know, we lost track. So we must make sure that going forward, you know, we have the technology. We really need to make sure that you know, we stay on track. This is what we want to be. We stay on track. Yeah.
How involved is the Cook Island government when it comes to your wish to try to educate or maybe to teach more of the dialect than the whole thing take over the road? Are the government or the education system, do they see what you're doing, and are they supportive, or is there any, you know?
Well, I wish they are, but I'm not too sure. You know, with UNESCO's figures coming out,
Yes.
you would think if the language is dying, just like, you know, when someone's dying,
Yeah.
you see ambulance, everybody running around, you know, to save someone who's dying. It's not dead yet, but nothing. You know, like I even made a suggestion, you know, on newspaper at home. You know, we're really serious about it. We should ban English from every playground in the schools at home, because it's our home. We can do what we like. But the thing is, at this stage, we are encouraging our people to leave the country, and we are encouraging foreigners to come in and fill in the vacancies for, you know, tourism.
Yes.
You know, again, there we go. There's that money making thing, you know, in the way. So, as far as home is concerned, I don't really think they can see the picture. You know, they can see the urgency that is at hand.
So would you say that at the moment there is still hope for the dialect to be brought back or to revitalize?
Well, I would say that the last generation of speakers is here right now, and this is when we need to turn those speakers into resources. We need to be smart, to work and bring those speakers, you know, to help out the language. One of our communities here, the Pukapukan community, okay, the northernmost island, they have their own language. But you know, when they teach the reo, you have the young ones learning, and you have the old people around the outside. Okay. And you know, it's I reckon it's a really good model. But I think we really need, as Cook Islands people, we need to stop thinking about being better than the other, and to learn from the other.
I guess learning the language is an intergenerational job, which is, you know, it's not just the young generation. It's what the young generation know comes from the old ones. So that should be
that used to be the case.
Yes. So that should be the dialogue. Should be because I'm looking at the Cook Island. I think the second biggest population here after Samoa is the Cook Island, and I think 15,000 on the Cook Island, whereas there are nearly 45,000. So as you said, there's this migration, and not only migration as a workforce, but also as the knowledge. Knowledge is moving the island to be used here, but when it comes here, it doesn't seem to be carrying any kind of...
I mean, the thing is, we need to change our approach. you know, we've been celebrating Language Week, you know, for years.
Yes.
But what's the purpose of it? Is it just celebrating? And yet we see the figures from UNESCO, the number of speakers continue to decline. So we really need to re-look at how we approach the language and how we celebrate events like this. You know, like even the Maiva Nui, you know, the performances.
Yes.
My view on that is it's okay, but the thing is, we are bringing all the island culture into one, just to win.
Yes.
So, you know, I'm from Auckland, so I have a bit of puga in my one, so I can win, make it different. You know, but then we are not really teaching the culture of each island. I think with the number of people that we have, Cook Islanders in New Zealand, we can have Ngāputuru Day, Mokemisau in one day, you know, and then we have Aitutaki Day across the country. And then this way our stories are told properly, and
You know, we were talking about performances. It seems to me that every time there is a celebration for the language week, first thing we think is, why don't we do a performance? That should change, because performance, as you said, it's good because at least people can see when they see this different Tonga, somewhere, but it must be more than that, because it doesn't, the uptake in terms of people wanting to learn the language itself and understand those lyrics, you know, there are not that many unless you were born into it. So that's what you want to do. You want to bring people to come to you and learn the language, whether there are people from outside of the island or your own.
Well, the other thing I was going to say about performances is that there should be, as part of you know, item practices and things like that, there should be a learning space. You know, because the young ones like to go to so, you know, we should use that as an opportunity to teach it.
Yes.
You know, but whereas for now, we just go there and learn how to dance, learn how to sing, and that's the main thing, and do your action. But then there should be more than that.
But you know, I mean, it might be obvious, but most of the people speaking English are not English. So it's just outside people. There are more people speaking English outside of England than here. So that's what's happening, because it seems to me that the Maoke seems to be, if it wants to have people, it will be from people from outside, not necessarily people from within Maoke, because there are not many of them anymore. You know, it should be from outside of wanting to learn the language. That's the thing. How do you make them? How do you create this passion for language, wanting to learn it?
Well, see, the thing is, you know, if we're going to take, you know, language is more than just language. So, you know, today, the other thing that we really need to look at is economic development. You know, we need this year's theme for Cook Islands Language Week is connect me to the soils of my ancestors. It's basically trying to put some meaning into our New Zealand-born Cook Islanders and their connection and their relationship to their in-law. So one day, the Chinese or some other big countries come and say this, they're going to do this, they're going to do this. Then they have grounds to stand on and say, no, this is my land, this is how I'm connected to this land. And you know, these are the things that we need our young ones to pick up and take ownership.
One last question is, I mean, you've been working a lot in sport, you know, as a player, but also as a commentator, I guess. I'm sure sports must be one of those avenues to bring back people into, because using some of the calls that you use in sport, there might be dialect words that belong to one dialect that nobody can understand, which gives you an advantage, I guess, when you work. Do you think that one of sports is an avenue we should investigate in, because to make sure that people might want to learn a bit more about how to play, I don't know, rugby league or rugby union, but using the calls that come from.
But the thing is, I think if Mate Mātonga is anything to go by, you know, this is something that maybe our Cook Island sports athletes and our people should learn from. You know, being proud of being Cook Islanders, and you know, playing rugby down in Dunedin, I used to think the Samoans were rude because because they just speak Samoan. until recently, then I thought, man, they're really proud.
Yes.
And I'm quite disappointed in myself for thinking otherwise of them. But yes, there are all these opportunities to use the language, and we should consider it.
Well, on that note, thank you very much, Tauraki. It was very interesting to have to share your point of view about your language. You know how we should save those outlying islands. You know, so we can just keep them going. You know,
Yeah.
and it is quite a difficult, I guess, Herculean, test, because it's not obvious. And the dominant language are more involved in those small islands, the less people will take it. So, but we all have, I said earlier, we all have the same battle here, the same fight, which is to fight for your native language. It's a passion. It doesn't have to be always to make money. It's just to do it. I mean, free to me is quite important to give a bit more to the community, I guess, of what you have received.
But I think if Tato is anything to go by, I think we should be all working and learning from each other. You know, like I've always said that we should have jumped on board with our language when the Māori started doing theirs. We should have jumped on board then.
Yes.
But it's not too late.
Well, I guess we look up to the Maoris now, because they have set up the structure that they follow. So, actually, well, Tauraki, thank you very much for your time, and mai taki mata for this discussion, very interesting. And maybe a last word to you in Māori or New Zealand.
Tui au ki te one o toku o i tupuna. O te reo teia o te o mapu ke poto e te o mitua. Connect me to the soils of my ancestors. Ake te.
Thank you.